Once you learn the two movements I'm going to teach you in this video, you will be compressing your irons like never before. And trust me, this is going to make your iron shots feel absolutely incredible. So what do we actually mean by compressing the golf ball? Because we hear that all the time, but what does it actually mean? Well, let's look at two examples. Let's look at an iron shot that we might see from a typical golfer who doesn't feel like they compress the golf ball. As the golf club comes in to make contact with the ball, there's two things we need to be aware of. How much loft does the golf club got is number one. So let's say that golf club has got 30 degrees of loft. And let's say the golfer is only hitting down on the ball by 1 degree. The difference between those two numbers would be 31 degrees. That wouldn't feel great off the club face. It wouldn't compress the golf ball. It wouldn't give the feelings that we want. Now take that same golf club, hand it to a pro. How would they deliver the golf club to the ball? Well, they would deliver the golf club to the ball very differently. They would present, let's say for argument's sake, 18 degrees of loft. And they would be hitting down on the golf ball by, let's say, 4 degrees. So the difference between those two numbers would be 22 degrees, 9 degrees lower. Effectively, the lower that number is, the better the golf shots are going to feel. The ball is going to compress on the face more, it's going to spring off the face, it's going to fly further, and it's going to feel incredible. And I'm going to teach you how to do it in this video. Now you might be asking, why are they taking loft off the golf club? Why would you do that? Well, let's show you exactly why. Here is my 8 iron. I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm going to mark the sweet spot, basically the centre of the golf club. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, about 4 grooves up. And we're just going to put a little mark on the centre of that club. You can see the sweet spot on my 8 iron. We need to line that up with the back of the ball to hit the centre of the golf club. So the more loft I present, the harder it's going to be for me to make contact with the sweet spot of the golf club. It's going to be really difficult. I'm going to get low strikes in the face. It's not going to feel great, and we're not going to have that compression. So when that golf pro delivers less loft, look at what it does to the sweet spot. It presents the sweet spot to the back of the ball, and that increases the ball speed further. When we see great players at impact with irons, there are two things that I want you to really pay attention to. Number one, their lead wrist is nearly always flat. There's never any cup or arch in it. There very often is at setup, but at impact, it's very, very flat. And the second thing, which might be different in your golf swing, is where their lead arm is relative to their chest. You can see the Adidas logo on my top, and when I go to impact, you can still see that logo. That's not what we always see in the amateur game, and we don't always see this in the amateur game. So the first thing I'd love you to do before we dive into the drills is actually hit some shots from a perfect impact position. I'm going to take a setup and I'm literally going to work into impact. Handle forwards, little bit of body rotation, and hit a shot. That ball felt incredible, even on that distance, because I presented less loft. I squeezed the loft off the club face. I presented the sweet spot. It came out the center. It really felt powerful off the club face. So let's go through the two things that we need to control, the wrist and the arm. Let's start with the wrist. So if I take a normal setup, notice my lead wrist. There is some cup or there is some shape in that lead wrist. So what happens to that lead wrist as I set my wrists upwards? It's still there because there was nothing to take that out. So when my right wrist works up, that doesn't flatten the wrist. What does flatten the wrist is when I put some backward bend in my trail wrist. So here is the drill that I'd like you to do. You're going to get rid of your golf club. You're going to imagine that there's a camera exactly where you're viewing this from. You're going to take a setup. When I take a setup, you can see that my trail wrist is a little bit bent, a little bit of shape in it. And as I go back, what I don't want to do is work the thumb up and go back. Because if I do that and open my hand, where does my hand point? Sort of down in front of here. I want my palm to be facing that camera. So I call this the high drill. So I'm basically going to give you a little high. So I go back and I say hi. So I'm sort of waving to you as the camera. But what I'm effectively doing is putting more shape into the back of my trail wrist. If I keep the face way open, if I keep the cup in my lead wrist, and I open up my trail hand, you can see the back of my hand. You can't see the palm of my hand. But what I'm actually going to do is take my wrist from this cupped position. I'm going to work the club back. I'm going to feel like the palm of my trail hand faces you, the camera, and look at that lead wrist. It's already flat. Because what we're saying is great players at impact have a flat lead wrist, which helps them get the handle forwards, which helps them take the loft off the golf club. But it doesn't start there. It starts with a little bit of shape. So if it starts with a bit of shape and at impact it's flat, at some point in that golf swing, we've got to do that. Now you can do it in the downswing if you want, which is over in a flash, or you can do it during the second part of your backswing. That for me is a much better play. So again, you can start to hit some shots. You don't have to do full swings, but you can start to go, takeaway is very neutral, pull the knuckles back to my shoulder. The second thing that we mentioned was your lead arm. Now, why is this really important? Well, let's look at that impact again. Where is the lead arm? It is to the side of your chest. But it doesn't stay there throughout the whole golf swing. Many of you, when you are at impact, will have your lead arm too much on top of your chest. So now you can see I'm hiding that Adidas logo. And look what that's done to the grip of the golf club. It's moved it back, which adds more loft. Now, why is your arm in that position? Was because that's where it is at the top of the backswing. Look where your lead arm is relative to your chest. It sits to the side of the chest, that's perfect. But when we make a backswing, that relationship, which I'm sort of referencing with my index finger and my thumb, that relationship doesn't stay the same. Because if it did, my hands would end up here, and they don't end up there. So in the backswing, what does my lead arm do? It moves, and it hides that logo. So as I come down, if it stays hiding that logo, my hands are going to be so far back. My arm is going to be across my body. And I see this all the time. What great players are doing is they're taking that lead arm, which at some point of the backswing is across the chest, and they are moving it back in front. Those are the two things that they do which helps them compress their irons. They get their lead arm back off their chest, and they have a flat lead wrist. So how are you going to feel that in your golf swing? Well, essentially, we need to speed up the arms in that downswing, because what we've just said is that in the backswing, they move across your chest, and if I do nothing, it's going to stay here. So I want you to do a little pump drill. This is brilliant. You might have seen Justin Rose doing this. Really, really good drill. What we do is we make a backswing as normal, but we start to work the arms back down, so you can see how you're starting to see more of that logo. I am moving my lead arm down and back in front of my chest, so that when I turn, I'm into this position. High to the camera, hands down, and turn. So if I wanted to hit shots with the least amount of compression possible, I would have the face open, which cups the wrist. And I would have the hands back at impact, which would mean the arm across the chest. That's what so many golfers do. That's what you're probably doing if you don't feel like you can press the golf ball. So it's really simple. If we can move to the opposite place, we're going to be in a great position.